there, my name is Rakita, and this is going to be the very first review of BOOKonomics. As you've seen in the a little bit of that intro in the beginning where it said Lolita, that is exactly what I'm going to be doing the review on. It's this book right here, and the author is Vladimir Nabokov. He looks like this. So this is actually going to be my very first book review on this channel, so excuse me if I'm a little bit stumbling across statements and trying to figure out how I'm going to do this, because I haven't on about nonsense that is unrelated to this review. Let me get started. Lolita is one of those novels that you come across and discover what a timeless classic it is. The novel is basically a story about a man named Humbert Humbert and his obsession with a 12-year-old child. I know that's pedophilia, and I know you're probably disgusted just by the sound of it, but trust me when I say it is possibly one of the best love stories I have ever read. It is incredibly disturbing, but beautifully disturbing, which is something you wouldn't put the two and two together. As soon as you pick up the book and you read the very first few lines of the novel, you will be immediately drawn in. Personally, I find that the first intro paragraph of a novel to be incredibly important. And in this case, I know that the intro paragraph of Lolita is possibly one of the best that I've ever read. And even if you search it online and you go on Google and you see best intro sentences in a book, Lolita will be definitely up there amongst a couple of other books like 100 Years of Solitude. I think Pride and Prejudice was one of them. Yeah, it is pretty up there. I love it. I think it's absolutely beautiful. If you take a look and you read that, if you read it out loud, it's almost like a tongue twister. If you read it in your mind, it's going to be a little bit more manageable, but read it and let me know what you think in the comments below about that. Okay, so on with the book. I'm trying not to give as much spoilers because I don't want to ruin the book for you. I personally, absolutely, this is one of those books that I definitely recommend. It's a complicated read. It is very difficult, well, for me anyways. I often found myself having to refer to a dictionary, and I even at one point started writing down all the words that, that were really large that I didn't really quite understand just because I had to keep looking at the dictionary. So I wrote them down in my Word document, and then I looked them up after and made the connections, and it totally makes sense. It's interesting because Vladimir's first language is actually not English. It's not even his second language, it's his third. The first being Russian, the third being, I believe, French, and then English. So it definitely takes a lot of talent to speak in to write in a different language, and to do it so beautifully. I actually own another book of Vladimir Nabokov's, and this one's Pale Fire. However, Lolita is probably the book that he's most known for. As you know, it's a story about a man and his obsession with a 12-year-old child, and the story is basically the journey that the two of them have, the trials and the complications that they go about, and it's incredibly humorous. Nabokov has a very dark sense of humor, and it's ironic in some instances, and just some of the lines that Lolita says in the novel will get you kind of laughing, but kind of like thinking at the same time because it's so ironic. This novel has been made into a movie twice. There's a 1960s version of this, and a 1998 was the second. I've watched both. Both of them, to me personally, do not still get the true essence of the Lolita novel, but they do come pretty close. Interestingly enough, they both take different sort of takes. The more recent one is more of the seriousness and is very sexually oriented. It's actually by the director who did Fatal Attraction, I believe. And the older one, due to the ratings and stuff, wasn't allowed to show most of the sexual behaviors in the movie, but the humor is there, which is really pleasant. Both of them seem to lack both, either or, so there isn't a movie yet that has come out that I think marries both of them and then actually gets the whole novel. Yeah, so I don't know if you want to take a look at that, but definitely read the book first before you go ahead and watch the movie. Some common themes about this book that might interest you to know before you go ahead and purchase it is, one, it's a fiction novel, so it's not a true story. It's very dark humor and almost satirical, a lot of satire in the novel. It is also a story about loss of innocence, and it is, in the most disturbing manner, a love story, and that's the best way to describe it. Um, the two main characters, Humbert, who is an older gentleman who comes to live in a house, which is with Lolita, and Lolita, who's the second main character, who's the product of his obsession. You're gonna notice a lot of conversations, and the story is written in first person. It's written under the perspective of Humbert Humbert. So you'll notice little comments here and there that are very humorous and incredibly disturbing, because you're basically looking into a mind of a pedophile. I definitely recommend this novel. Before I start releasing any more spoilers and little hints and tidbits about the book, I recommend you reading it first. It is one of my favorite books, and I hope you enjoyed the very first review of BOOKonomics. Ta-ta!